Hey everyone, how you doing? Let's continue our reading of The Sword of Allah by Khalid bin al-Waleed. It is a fantastic book. You can feel the energy in it. The author is quite great at his job. Let's continue our total nerding out session of it. Remember, it has been quite intense. Khalid is really doing a great job. Remember, the elders of Tayy decided to switch sides, and Tuleiha is that imposter who thinks he's a prophet. So let's continue. And remember, Hibal is dead. Okay, he was killed. He's out of the picture. So let's continue. Oh, and before we get started, A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim. Bismillah ar-Rahman rahim. Alright, so if you have your copy, we were on page 151. Let's begin. Enraged at the news of his brother's death, Tuleiha came forward in person with another brother, Salma. Okay, so Tuleiha's got two brothers. One is dead, so Salma is the other one. The two pairs met. There were two duels. Okay, I wonder what kind of duels they did. Let's see. Tuleiha and Ukasha were expert swordsmen and continued to fight long after Salma had killed the other Muslim. Oh wow, so look, Salma apparently then is also good, but they were actually good swordsmen. Ukasha, wow. But at last, Ukasha went down before Tuleiha. The bodies of the Muslims remained where they had fallen until the rest of the Muslims arrived to discover and bury them. The loss of these two Muslims was deeply mourned, for they were fine fighters and beloved comrades. Okay. Well, let's see what happens to Ukasha. Let's see what Khalid does to him. When Khalid got to the southern part of the plain of Buzaka, he went into a camp short distance from where the apostates encamped. From these two camps, the opposing forces will move out to battle. The battlefield consisted of the plain of Buzaka, okay, so they're on that plain, a level open plain with a few low rocky hillocks on its western and northern edges. Okay, so we got a pretty clear battlefield example here. These hillocks were an extension of the southern eastern foothills of the Aja range. Okay, Aja range. Alright, very cool. This author is very distinct on giving us very good examples of what it looked like. The stage for the Battle of Buzaka was set. The Muslims prepared for the morrow, as did the apostates. Khalid, the sword of Allah, with about 6,000 men, faced Tuleiha the imposter. Look at that. So Tuleiha the imposter, he's got 6,000 Muslims ready to take him out. The strength of whose army is not recorded, but is believed to have been much more than that of the Muslims. Oh snap. It was now about the middle of September, 632, Gate Jamadi ul Akhir 11 Hijri. Okay, so September, and then the Islamic date called Jamadi ul Akhir. Okay. The morning after the arrival of Khalid, the two armies formed up for battle. On the plain of Buzaka, Khalid commanded the Muslims in person and stood ahead of his corps. Okay, so he's there. He's at the head. He's in the vanguard. You see that? He's not hiding, behind a desk like today. Tuleiha, however, appointed Uyena to command his army. Okay, so look at that. So Khalid's for the Muslims. They're on the plain of Buzaka. And then Uyena, that's actually spelled Uyeina, to command his army, in the center of which stood the 700 Bani Fazara. Okay, so I know that Bani means like tribe. So 700, look at that. And that's Uyena's clan. So Uyena is of the Bani Fazara tribe. And they got 700 soldiers deep. Look at that. The impostor himself sat in a tent a short distance behind his army, his head wrapped in a scarf and a cloak draped over his shoulders. Oh, that's pretty cool. I mean, I wonder what it looked like. He may be the imposter, but I still like learning about what they wore back then. He assumed a meditative posture and let it be known that he would receive guidance from Jibril. What? God's messenger angel on the conduct of battle. So look at that. He literally is like, oh, the Prophet, peace be upon him, has passed away. Abu Bakr is now the Caliph. Khalid and his other friend, right, they're there. And now this imposter is like, hey, I am gonna get advice from Jabril. So he's really taking the imposter complex pretty far. You look at that. It's like, what are you talking about? Soon after the two forces were arrayed for battle, Khalid launched an attack along the entire front. Okay, so on the whole front of the line, let's see. For some time, the apostate resisted stubbornly, especially the Bani Fazara. But after a while, the pressure of the Muslims began to tell, and dents appeared in the apostate front line. Uyena, alarmed at the severity of the Muslim attack, rode to Tuleiha's tent. Look at that. So he's like, hey man, they're really laying it on thick in the vanguard. Let's go to Tuleiha's tent and see what's going on. Hoping that divine guidance would come to their aid, has Jabril come to you? He inquired. No, replied the impostor. With a solemn expression, Tuleiha returned to battle. So it's like, well, you're crazy, man. Some more tune passed, then Khalid was able to drive a wedge into the infidel center. Okay, so then in the center, he's driving a wedge, so it's like coming in right there. Let's see what he does. But it's still held, so even though he's driven a wedge, remember he was on the front lines attacking, finally was able to get in and expand that to get the center, but look, still, let's see what they do. And the fighting became more intense with every inch of ground hotly contested. Oh yeah, you can feel it, right? It's like those days, it's like you give, forward, back, it's like you don't want to give too much ground, because if you start going backwards too much, it really breaks the spirit of those on the line. It's quite interesting. Uyena again rode to Tuleiha and asked, has Jabril come to you? No, by Allah, replied the impostor. Again, Uyena returned to battle. So, it was interesting how Uyena would have been familiar with how the Prophet, peace be upon him, was getting more aid and getting the Quran revealed to him, right? When Jabril was a big part of that whole history. So notice how Uyena, after the second time, you think he would start waking up. So let's see. Scenting victory, the Muslims now attacked more fiercely and gained some more ground. It was all the apostates could do to prevent and complete rupture of their position. A complete rupture. So really wanting to just take out their positions and really contest that ground. Seeing the situation turn hopeless, Uyena went for the third time to Tuleiha. Alright, let's see, third time's a charm. What's he gonna say? There was a nervous impatience in his voice as he asked the familiar question. Has Jabril come to you? The impostor answered, yes. What did he say? Asked Uyena. Calmly, Tuleiha replied, he said, you have a handmail just like his, and this is a day that you will not forget. By Allah, Uyena exploded as the scales fell from his eyes. This is a day that you shall certainly not forget. He then dashed to his clan. Oh, Bani Fazara, he shouted, this man is an impostor. Turn away from the fight. Oh my goodness. I didn't expect that to come. So, you have a handmail just like this. Notice that. So Uyena something must have triggered him. The scales fell from his eyes, so it's like he got to see like this guy's an imposter. But what was it about the handmail? Let's see, maybe they'll tell us something. But he literally goes out to his tribe, to the Bani Fazara, and was like, hey, this guy, turn away. That's a big deal. Imagine your soldiers that are fighting and slashing and taking hits, and then all of a sudden your commander comes to you and says, actually, you guys, let's dip. You'd be like, man, I just took like a bunch of slices, like, of course they're gonna go to the better side, but it's still like, make up your mind, whose side are we on here? The Bani Fazara, the core of Tuleiha's center, turned and rode away. Oh my goodness, now that would have been cool. Imagine Tuleiha, he's like, third time Uyena came, asked if Jabril giving him advice. He goes, looks out, and maybe he was expecting Khalid to be able to, expand that wedge and really destroy the center and, take that contested ground. But look, You know, he's seeing his allies right away. He's like, ah! It's funny. With their departure, the entire front gave way and the apostate opposition collapsed. Yeah, oh, man. Yeah, without that center, man, just came apart. Groups of infidels raced from the battlefield in all directions. Man, looks like chaos. Utter chaos. Oh, Tuleiha, he's lost. Remember, he had the elders of the Tayy, and then there was the other tribe. Oh, that's just hilarious. Remember, they set up from Zukisa. Khalid's got there, the Tayy, the Adi. Oh no, Adi was the one who was helping out them to take more of the soldiers away. Oh man, that is just... The Jadeela, yeah, oh yeah, the Tayy and the Jadeela tribe. So, and now oh my gosh. That's just hilarious. Dang, man. The Bani Fazara left him too. So he's had 3 tribes just straight up abandon him. You notice that? I mean, come on. Those who resisted were cut to pieces by the victorious Muslims. Some hapless fugitives rushed to Tuleiha and asked, "What are your commands?" Tuleiha replied, "Let those who can do as I do and save themselves and their families." Oh, that's the worst thing, right? Is when you're like, "It's every man for himself," and everyone's like, "Okay, we know it's over right now. We know it's done." If someone's telling you head for the hills, it's every man for himself, your turkey is basted. With this parting instruction, Tuleiha placed his wife on his fast camel, which he had kept ready saddled for just this eventuality. Oh my goodness, so he's like, he had his escape plan. That's, well, I mean, it's smart, but it also kind of highlights his motive, right? He wasn't like Hernan Cortez, who was like, burn the ships, is do or die. He had an escape thing planned. And if you think about it, that doubt's always in the back of his head of like, oh, I can always escape. But maybe that also impacts how the soldiers feel, you know what I mean? But, Genghis Khan kind of had a similar escape thing when he took on Jamaica, so I guess you could look at it from a number of perspectives. He himself sprang onto his horse, and a man and his wife disappeared in a cloud of dust, so they're out, man. The Battle of Buzaka was over. Khalid had been victorious. Okay, so we have to put that down, is that Khalid fought at the Battle of Buzaka against the imposter, who lied to everyone, told them that he was able to get aid from Jibril and was an actual prophet, and he got squished. Straight pancake. The second most powerful enemy of Islam had been defeated and his forces scattered. I mean, that's funny. He just total defeat.